Welcome to the Perfect Specimen Show. It has been a while. It's been a hot minute. What's it been a year now?
Yeah, probably a year.
Yeah, we've been give you a little recap of where we've been. It's been kind of crazy in our lives. Both got promotions at work. Josh has moved. We've had plenty of addictions that have taken up our time, whether it be golf, energy drinks, or nicotine. iTunes just kinda just screwed us and just deleted a bunch of stuff or banned me basically from iTunes. And, yeah, that we'll get into that stuff. How are you, Josh? How's things going?
I'm doing well. Yeah. Yeah. Like Derek said, I'm out, I'm out on out on an acreage. So
Yeah,
it's
you
a
moved
different
from the
life,
city
man. I mean,
life
like,
to the mountain
honestly,
life.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it takes a while to get used to it. You're out in the country and it comes with a lot of the positives of space and good views, but also a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
like your acreage living. So, if a windstorm comes through, you're spending the next few hours cleaning up and yeah, there's some chickens in the backyard. It's pretty dope.
Oh,
The
nice. Fresh eggs every
crazy
day?
little birds.
Jeez, that's awesome.
So no, it's
Nice.
good, man. It's good. Bit of a further drive to work, but it's not too bad.
Yeah. So we were both firefighters. We got hired full time at our department at the same time. And then in the last year, we both got the opportunity to become lieutenants. What has that been like for you?
Hmm. Yeah, it's been a learning curve, man.
Yeah.
There's I don't think there's anything that it's not like there's a manual of like, here's you read this manual and you'll be good to be an officer.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's so many aspects to what it means to step into that role. Um, and I don't think it's something you get good at overnight. I think it's this continual improvement of showing up day after day and then reflecting on how your day went and what you liked and what you didn't like and what you didn't
Yeah.
like. Because it's multifaceted. It's not just like you're just as much as in terms of being a good firefighter, you're also being a good people person. And, our role now when you shift into the officer position is now on developing the people around us, making
W
them better, right?
what is that what was the toughest part? Because it's like, I know for me, it was a big mentality shift of like, now I'm going from that senior firefighter role where you're leading on the floor, leading by example, to you're actually like leading and kind of structuring the day and having more control. How did you kind of take on that? Because I know I went about it in a different way, but how did you kinda manage that?
Yeah. Well, I think it's, part of it is also, you know, e- every crew has a different captain and it has different crew members. And so I think like you're totally right. Like my path was totally different from your path.
Yeah,
You look at a fire service in general, you look at the four ships that are under there, and everyone will tell you there's a complete difference in how those crews are. We're all still the same family. We're still going to execute, the job, but the culture of each crew is very different. And so
yeah,
I think that my challenges were probably different from your challenges. We have very different captains.
yeah,
And so, how, yeah, and actually our captains are probably, kind of polar opposite in terms of just how they structure things. And so,
yeah,
I bet my challenges were quite different from your challenges.
yeah,
And I don't even know if challenge is the right word, but just the way in which the day is going to be run and structured. But,
yeah,
it's for me, it's kind of taken a quick breakdown of what the crew needs, and I
yeah,
looked around at the people that are on my crew and, um, and I think you have to look at what your priorities are in a day. If you want to get your fitness in and your fire training and your duties. And then once you kind of have everything that needs to get done, then you got to try to prioritize those things because as we know, there's things that interrupt your day. And
yeah,
so, if you've prioritized, cleaning and you clean all morning and then all of a sudden calls come in and meals and more calls and all of a sudden you didn't get to your physical fitness and you didn't get to your training. Well, was that an effective day, right? and
Yeah.
you kind of you ebb and flow through that about having those bad days, and then you got to kind of come back and say, well, let's try this one, and let's see if we can put our fitness first thing. Let's see if we can divide and conquer our duties so that at the end of the day, we're all leaving fulfilled and happy that we got good fire training or good fitness in, and hopefully got to all the duties.
Yeah, and I think that's, like that's the piece that I actually enjoy the most is having input on that. Like, my captain, he was your captain, very structured, very, like, organized and systematic in how things happen, but being able to now have input in that and then ownership of that as well, I think has been such a nice thing to be able to kind of push things one way or the other, be like, maybe we don't need this right now, or maybe we can do this, or what do you guys think about that? And just changing what the goals are of the day, I think has been nice. And just having that input on that has been such a I enjoy that. Like I've always enjoyed that from teams or whatever else, just
Mhm.
having that not control, because I think that's the wrong word, but like it is piece of control of just the direction of the day, right?
Did you guys do a culture piece? Like when you guys first started, like when you got your promotion and you guys were starting with that new crew, did you guys define the kind of the culture that you wanted on your?
Yeah. So I think that's very important too. Because when we all got promoted, just to give you guys backstory, we all got moved to different crews. I stuck with my captain. I've been with my captain now 7, 8 years. So I more or less know what he wants, and then we can kind of read each other's minds, and we're on the same page for the most part. Um, but we did sit down with everyone because it's okay. What do we want? What are our priorities for the day? And it's again what you said of like training is here, right? Next is calls, training, and then some of the duties, and then development, and even just like figuring out what each other wants. I think that's important. Like you're in a leadership position now, you need to know what each person under you and above you and around you wants and what their goals are, what motivates them, where they want to go. Because even though I see one guy is doing this, well, he has no interest in that. Like one of the guys, I was like, "Oh, you have some water background. Do you want to do this? Do you want to help with that?" He's like, "No, not at all." It's like, okay,
Yeah. All
well,
right.
I was just about to send you down a road that you didn't want to go down. So thank you
Yeah.
for telling me.
Yeah.
And it's like, finding what motivates them. And I think one of the pieces I've liked the most is even just the challenge, right? The challenge of dealing with unique personalities and how you manage
Yes.
that and how you structure that throughout your day, like how that fits into your day. Because I think from where we were before, it'd be like, well, no, like F them, like they'll figure it out, whatever, suck it up, let them work. But is that the best thing for the team? Is that what the team needs? Is that going to help us accomplish what we want to accomplish and get to where we want to go? Right.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's tough to navigate those things. And that's something that you need to be conscious of now.
Have you guys done any like check-ins in terms of like, you defined your kind of culture. Have you come back to the table and been like, okay, well, we've been doing this for a few months.
Yeah.
What's working, what's not working? And do we want to make any changes to the flow?
Yeah, it's we do, I think, every 6 months and every year, like, so semi-annually, I guess, we do our check-ins, and then as this kind of so I'm going to a different shift. I'm actually moving shifts, but
Mhm.
I was part of their most recent one because they sat down again and said, like, "Hey, Eric's moving. Um, Becky, you're staying here, like one of our rookies, and how do we wanna structure it? Is this what we like? Is this what we don't like?" And I think it's important that you let the crew help dictate some of the day because they're the
Yes.
ones ultimately responsible for that. So it's like, "Hey, I actually like doing this, or I wanna do that." It's like, well, we're still accomplishing the same thing. So sure, like, like give up control. Let those people make decisions. Let them have input. Let them because they're gonna take ownership ultimately of that. Is that
Yes. Yeah.
similar route to kind of what you guys have done?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think like a piece you just touched on was the ownership. And I want everyone on my crew to feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah.
And we're very flexible in terms of how the what the training is of the day because we all put things on a dashboard, which is basically planning out for those that aren't aren't privy to it. It just basically plans out the next two shifts. But if someone comes up and they say, you know what, I'd actually like to train on this. I'm not comfortable with this. I'd like to get a few more like that
Mhm.
is absolute. I'm like, love it. Like if you
Yeah.
want to do something that you think that you want to get stronger on, like that to me is the buy-in. It's the crew willing to, kind of almost expose themselves, but it's it's creating a culture of being okay with being exposed on what we don't know and what we want to get better at.
Yeah.
So if someone feels that they want to pump on the aerial, it's like I really strongly empower people to come forward with the things that they think are going to benefit them. And almost every single time, if someone is experiencing a gap in knowledge somewhere, there's other people that are also experiencing that gap in knowledge. So even though my training might have been we're doing search drills, but then I got switched to pumping on the aerial, we're all still benefiting from that training
What
in
was
that
the
sense.
what was the feeling like the first time you had to be in complete control of the shift when the captain was gone? And you're now command, you're making those decisions for him,
Mhm.
right? What was that like?
Yeah. You know, my captain, Paul, he's very much the lieutenants are gonna run the hall and
Mhm.
he's gonna run the call. And so I'd say it wasn't actually a huge change on my crew,
Yeah.
just by the way in which he's empowered us to really lead the day as it is.
Yeah.
So it felt very natural when he was gone. You have in the back of your head, you have this responsibility piece of if a big call comes in, well, I don't have that 20 something year captain, 25-year captain with me. And so the guy that is gone to, you know, many more fires and high acuity calls than I have in my
Yeah.
career. I don't have that knowledge with me anymore. And so I've got to now take on that responsibility and take on the composure and almost take on his role in terms of like giving the crew confidence and stability.
Yeah.
I think one of the most um uh, profound or important aspects of a good leader in the fire service is to remain calm in stressful situations. And that calmness comes through experience, but you almost have to fake it till you make it
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah. Yeah,
On
yeah.
the inside, you can be like, "Holy shit, this is kind of fucked up."
Yeah.
Right? But you have to think that in your head, but the guys around you have to see some composure.
Yeah.
That's a very, very important role, for us is to maintain that crew composure going to these things. So,
Yeah, because
yeah.
they know, like, they know their tasks, they know what they're doing on a call, but it's still up to you to be like, "Okay, well, we are getting this hydrant, we're doing this, you're taking this, I want you to
Mhm,
go here," and it's those big pieces, those big decisions that need to be made that now that's you, right? And
mhm.
it's an awkward feeling at first, and you're like, "Oh, man, like, this is a
Yeah.
lot," but it's like what you said, just take that breath, maintain that composure, and it's,
I remember the
yeah,
first shift that Paul was off. I think he was either sick or on vacation or something like that. And it's just Quinn and I, and we had a structure fire that came in, and it ended up being really nothing. But
mhm,
but it was a good tester, right? Like you do feel that adrenaline come up. And um, I remember some guys like they pulled some lines off the truck, and they were kind of like beating themselves up after, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't need to pull those lines, this and that." And I said, "No, no, you should have pulled those lines. That came in as a structure fire."
yeah,
And I have, I'm the type of guy that has no issues with lines ever getting pulled off trucks on structure fires,
yeah,
and if it does end up being something, well, hey, you've got lines pulled and you're ready to go.
mm,
And if it's nothing, then you got awesome training. You got the best training you could have possibly asked for. You got
yeah,
the truck staged in the right position and lines came off the truck. How long does it take to re-rack a crossley? Like
yeah.
2 minutes? Like you're
Just
sitting there with your
it's
crew.
training at that point, right? Like,
You're
you're doing
training.
training. Yeah,
Totally. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, it was but the first call, like, you see, you're like, "Of course you
Oh,
get a
yeah.
structure fire, right?"
Dude, I had a similar situation, but it was at, one of our high-rise buildings, and it was same thing. It came in as a different address, so we're going there, and we're, like, half a K away, like, kilometer away, and all of a sudden, it pings to the one of the three-story high-rises or mid-rise, I guess, and I'm just like, "Oh, shit," like, here we are, and it's like,
Here we go.
"They smell smoke, blah, blah, blah," like, "Oh, no." Like, "Alright, well, let's go handle this," like,
Yeah.
um, "Stage here, do this," like, "Here we
Mhm,
go," and just and I think if you have the respect of your crew and like you have a good relationship with your crew, they want to support you through that. So you have people kind of like helping you with that piece. And then I remember that like, and it's important for any role you're in. I remember that when I was starting out as a hydrant, you have people helping, like they know you're uncomfortable. They know you're
mhm,
figuring it out. So they add value and they like, hey, this or this or this or this.
mhm,
And same
mhm,
thing I found with that as well is like, oh, I got your alpha side like check, right? Like, all right,
mhm,
cool.
mhm,
Like Do this, this, this." It's like, "Yeah, I can also grab this." And it's like, "Oh, thanks." Like, those little cues, and I think when you have that respect and you have that, I'm lucky because I have a fairly experienced crew where it's they
Mhm.
help and they kind of know what the expectation is, and they can just, like, piece those in there, and I don't necessarily have
Yeah.
to tell them all of that. They know what that expectation is. And that goes back to that training piece of, like, training and doing the reps so that they know what to do on the fireground and perform, and it makes your life easier, right? Like, you give up that control so that things go better when you're out in that environment.
Mhm,
I don't know if you
mhm.
agree with that.
Yeah, I do, and I think that you gain trust with your crew over time. The more of those types of calls you go on, um, your crew learns how to function together. You get to a point where you're doing things without having to. You're almost like speaking, um, you know, with through telekinesis. You're not having to necessarily state everything that needs to get done, but everyone just
Yeah.
knows what needs to get done. They're in that kind of flow state and getting it all done.
Mhm.
But for those that are, you know, maybe don't aren't in this world, we're a very different department. We're a resource limited department. We're not a big city where if you have a structure fire, we're having 7 fully staffed trucks arriving at the same time with multiple chiefs and different command roles. It's our crew alone for probably 20 minutes before we get back up, and it's easy to that thought can be overwhelming, but
Mhm.
I think it's unnecessarily we make it more complicated than it actually is, because at a certain point, we can do what we can do, and that's it. Like, you look at how many people we have. On a great day, we'd have 7. On a bad day, we'd have 5.
Yeah.
But we can do what we can do with those people. So, it's like, don't overcomplicate it. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's been a big thing for
It's
me.
almost liberating in a way too, where it's like you if you're in a big place and something goes wrong, like, "Well, what do I do now? What do I do?" Like, we're used to that where it's like, this is what we have. You gotta make it work always and just do the best you can do, and then stuff will come, and you assign them, and you achieve more, but at the end of the day, it's like it's simple, right? It's a super simple system that works.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into some of our addictions that have transpired. The what we've both just like gone full tilt into golf, and I don't know why. I think you
Yeah,
started off. I've golfed as a kid, and I don't know if you golf much, but
little bit.
you just kind of went off the deep end there and just committed. Hey.
Yeah, well, it's kinda just me in my life. Am a highly, yeah, I get very, very addicted to things, and, I'm very fortunate that I found healthy things for the most part that I can funnel my addiction to, um,
Yeah.
because, I'm the type of person, if I had found poor outlets, I could have easily been just a degenerate gambler if that
Yeah,
had, like,
you'd be such a
right?
good drug dealer. It'd be
Oh,
insane.
it'd be unreal. So, I always thought golf was when I was younger, it always seemed a little bit boring to me and this and that.
Oh
And
yeah.
it might have been the financial side of it too, or it's a kind of a pricier thing to get into.
What's slower too? Like you
Slower
just like,
pace.
yeah.
But when you start to I was like, "Hey, well, there's enough people in my life that I'll golf, and it sucks when you're just a bad golfer. Like when you're just
Yeah.
there and everyone else is golfing, having a good time, and you just feel like like floundering, like just fighting for your life out
Yeah.
there. So
And they're like,
with
"Okay, it's okay, little guy, like, come on," like,
oh, I hate it.
"Have another shot." You're like, "Get
And so
fucked."
if you wanna just get to the point where you can just enjoy your day out there, you have to just commit. And I
Yeah,
was like, "Hey, well, it's gonna be probably a year or 2 of just having to dive in." And then you get to a point when you can get out there and you're still gonna make these improvements, but you gotta get through that initial hump, just understanding the clubs, understanding the flow. But then as you get into golf, you start to really unlock new aspects of the game and the things that I didn't even really consider. Like it is a lot of it is just managing your emotions.
yeah.
I found a big aspect of it, which is super fascinating, and it kind of translates to like we were just talking about in a previous conversation with the fire stuff, where you could be freaking out on the inside, but you got to project calmness. That actually same thing is kind of true with golfing because you can
Yeah,
shank something off to the side and you have a choice in that moment. And it's to focus on that shank shot and to think that that's going to predict your next shot or erase it and realize that your next shot does not hinge on the last shot. Every single shot is a new opportunity, and you have to approach every single hit like it's the first time you're approaching that ball, and clear the mind, quiet it down, and focus on the objective, and then execute that objective, erasing the previous dog shit shot that you
Yeah.
just did. It's
Oh, yeah.
that aspect of it's super fascinating.
I think the toughest part is getting used to just being, like, how imperfect golf is. Like,
Mhm.
you you look at these tour players, the best in the world, and you're like, "Oh, if I train enough, I can get there." And it's like, "No, you're not gonna get there." Like, you need to be okay with being average and fixing average. Like, you put it in a good position and make it work. And like what you said, if it sucks, like, well, forget about it and do the best with what you have in front of you, right? Like moving forward with that. And it's yeah, I sunk a lot of money into golf this last year in
Mhm.
clubs and like gear because I had to get, of course, 3 pairs of shoes, actually
Mhm. Of
four, and
course. Big
yeah,
shoe guy.
new sets of clubs. I even got my dad a set of clubs. So I was like, why not? I'm buying clubs, new putter. Just I went off the deep end, and it's I love stuff and gear,
Yes.
and this
Yes.
is the
So do
perfect
I.
sport for it, man. You know, just like just indulging, and it's been so fun. And
Yeah.
yeah, the thing have battled with because like the kids are in school, Jackson school halftime is how much time it can take you out on the course. And I've
Yeah.
learned to not tell Jen, my wife, that yeah, I'll be done by this time because usually it's like 2 hours past that time.
Yes.
You know, it
Yeah. Yeah.
takes for freaking ever.
Yeah.
But it's
100%.
oh, yeah. It's been a good, like, way to get I have a core group of friends from when I was, like, in grade school, like, early grade school, and it's been a good way to get them back together, and, like, we go out every other week kinda thing, and we'll go golfing, and that's been fun. I've enjoyed that the most, and I think that's maybe what I didn't understand about golf. You look at it from the outside, it's just like, "Oh, you're just hitting a ball in the course," but you're getting, like I like walking, I know you do too.
Mhm.
You're getting your
Mhm.
steps in, so you're getting some exercise. You're outside. You're working on a skill and it's like the community aspect of it, right? You're with your
Yes.
friends, you're with your peers and just hanging out and bullshitting. And I think it's been such a nice stress release. And I get it. I get why people love
Mhm.
it and people become addicted to it. Right.
I also am fully aware that there's 2 ways you can golf. There's the absolute degenerate way of, like,
Yeah.
smoking cigars and getting lit.
Yeah.
You're just pounding beer every time you golf,
Yeah.
or and you can take a golf cart and not walk, you're right? And that's just
And,
like it's
and that's
right.
definitely where I used to be. Like that was like,
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah,
once or twice a year and just getting lit up and like
yeah,
running into shit. Right.
yeah, yeah. Or you start to actually focus on the game. You're like, "Actually, I'm gonna walk," and you end up walking, like, 20,000 steps. It's a beautiful day, it's sunny. You're talking with your friends, you're getting better at something,
Yeah.
and you leave it feeling pretty good, right? And that was a big switch for me, was actually viewing it as something other than just a party, as like an
Yeah.
excuse to be a degenerate, but actually
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm actually going to be better because of this in a lot of
Yeah.
aspects, managing your emotions, getting some steps in, and having fun and reconnecting with friends and cool people, right?
Did it we both were doing jujitsu for a time period there. Did you
Mhm.
find that this kind of replaced that desire for, like, a new skill, but it's something more manageable and, like, tenable long
Yeah,
term?
yeah, very much
Is
so, very much so.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I actually I'm hoping, my wife, I got her a set of clubs and I kinda got her into it a little bit, but golf's one of those things that you can do when you're elderly, you're like
Oh,
60,
yeah.
70, and you can be golfing. So if you're looking at a fun thing to do as a couple or just as you age, it's not it's something that transcends ages, which is super
Yeah.
cool about it. So if you start now, we're both in our 30s. You start now and by the time you're 60, you got 20 years of golf here. You'll be having a good time out there. But what an awesome
Yeah.
thing to do in your retirement, in your elderly years. So I do view it as like that longevity piece where it's something you'll do throughout your life. So I think
Was chumming your wife resistant to it at first, or was
oh
she
yeah.
into it? Because
She
that's
was
what
very
Jen is. That's like
she's
Jen. She's
very
like, I don't wanna golf." It's like she's golfed before. I'm like, "You don't understand. Like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't get it. You gotta
You just don't get it.
you just don't get it." But it's
You don't
like
s yeah,
Jack,
yeah,
my kids, Jack and Margot,
yeah.
they're into it. Like they do golf camps now, and which is super cool. And Like, "Well, Jen, if you do it too, then we have the perfect
Mhm.
foursome, like, we can take
Yeah,
up whatever, we have to be some randoms, and it's cheap for kids to play, like,
yeah,
it's a family adventure," and so I'm trying to really swing it that way, like a
yeah,
family it's like a family trip,
yeah.
but okay.
I agree, man. What's happened with Chumman
Okay.
is she's had some friends that are into golf, and so that's kind of she went from like,
Mm.
"I'm never gonna golf ever," and then she had some friends that started getting into it, and she's like, "Oh, okay, maybe I'll try it."
Well, I
Well,
mean,
actually, yeah.
yeah, I know.
So, yeah, it's been fun. Time consuming though. Like,
Okay.
it did consume a lot of hours this past summer. Yeah, but I took up
Mm.
that and mountain biking kind of at the same time, so it was
Yeah, how's that
splitting
been
those
going?
2 things. Gosh, fuck, man, oh, mountain biking is one of those things that scares the shit out of me
Talk about an
because
expensive sport too, like, to get
expensive
for
sport,
a nice bike, right?
very much so. Besides the cost of it, there's also just the aspect of, like, if you talk to someone that's been mountain biking long enough, you are gonna fuck yourself up at some point. It's not a
Oh,
matter
yeah.
of if, it's when. And so I've kind of had this mentality of like, well, just stay in your comfort zone. Like just, yeah, but it's kind of not
Yeah.
who I am. Like we're adrenaline
Oh,
seekers.
yeah.
You're the same way. Like
Yeah.
I'm always trying to push the limits on skiing a little bit. Like you want to get better, you want a bit faster.
Yeah.
But that's that curve where you end up going a bit too far. And so luckily I got through first season and I'm intact. But it's a bit of a freaky sport because the consequences of a fall are way higher than anything else, man. You fall on skis, most of the time you're fine. There's
Yeah.
snow, it's softer. You mess yourself up on a mountain bike, man, you got rocks and
Yeah,
trees.
trees. Oh,
Dude, it's a high consequence activity, so you have to check
yeah.
yourself often and constantly and ask yourself, am I being responsible? And you have to just
Yeah.
bring back the consequences. Like if you mess yourself up, you're off work for an extended period of time and it sucks. You don't want that. So but fun,
Yeah.
it's a fun sport.
You know where my mind goes to with mountain biking and, like, why I'm terrified of it?
Hmm,
Is, like, there's the injuries, but you also see those wildlife videos of people just getting messed up by, like, mountain goats and shit.
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's a real fear for me is, like, you're gonna run into a goddamn grizzly bear in the path.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think that's what the main deterrent is for this is, like, the animals in there. It's scary,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's bad. 100%. Even hunting, right? Like, I did another season hunting, and I remember I was with Will, we're kinda going along this ridge, and we just hear this, like, crazy, like, just charging animals, like, ruckus, and we
Yeah.
both think it's like a bear charging us, so, like, our guns are up and kinda looking at what's going on, and then next thing you know, we're heard of, like, 40 elk just come barreling down the mountain, like, 10 feet in front of us, just flying down, and you realize you're in their world, like,
Oh, yeah.
that could have been a bear, but you're in this foreign universe out there in the middle of nowhere. We got a
Yeah.
satellite phone. I got a Garmin inReach with me. Like, you
Yeah.
can't just call 911 on your cell phone. You're out there, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
heli
you're
rescue, whatever else coming to get you, and it's just
yeah, bro.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you miss all 40 when you shot or what? Have you actually killed
Didn't even
anything?
get a sh no, I've killed nothing, dude. I'm like, I'm
You just
surprised my
taking your
wife
gun
even
for
wants
a
to be
walk?
with
Is
this
that
failure of a man.
is it Victor
Yeah.
from work always tell me, he's like, "Well, honey," yeah, he's like, "I'm gonna go take my shotgun for a walk, and, I'll
Yes.
be back in a bit." You're like, "Okay,
That's
sounds
that's
good."
100% what it is, man. When I first got into it, my pitch to Chumming was like, "Oh, but yeah, we'll save all this money on meat and this and that." When I finally kill something, it's gonna be the most expensive piece of meat
Oh,
we've ever purchased in our life, ever.
yeah.
So it's you don't do it for
You don't do it for the
the
cost
cheap
savings.
meat. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
No,
Yeah,
not at all.
but
Jeez. What else we got going? Oh, Jen, I was gonna say, have you heard so I think we talked about in the past podcast is Jen had a bee business for a while there, honey business, and she loved it for years and years and years. And this past year, she had to give that thing up. She got stung, and it's the craziest thing. I didn't know this existed, but apparently, if you get stung enough time by bees over and over again, eventually you develop a reaction to it. So she went into like full anaphylaxis and had to go to the hospital. We actually saw your wife Chumming the day at the hospital
Mhm,
too.
mhm.
And that's been such a crazy thing to kind of go through. Um, Yeah, like, watching Jen kind of going back to, like, talking about our passions, what we do in pastime, my wife spent so much time with her bees that she just had to, like, sell them all and get rid of them. So that's been kind of a weird thing to go through, and it's, yeah, the
What's weird about that, well, first of all, like, it's weird how, like, normally you'd think that if you get more exposure to something, your body
yeah,
would develop a tolerance, but it sounds like that's not the case with bees.
and that's so weird because, like, you've heard of, like, microdosing peanuts, right? Like, they'll give, like, kids with peanut allergies, they'll slowly, like, dose them, like, eventually, and they'll get used to it and whatever, and they do but yeah, it's apparently, I think because it's such a high dose, I actually had the same reaction to bee pollen. Have you ever taken bee pollen before?
No.
So it's like little, like these little golden nuggets, and it's supposed to help with allergies. That's why I kind of started taking it. And I remember a chef friend of mine saying that a while ago. He's like, "Oh, I have an allergy to bee pollen. Like I had it once at the restaurant, and like throat swelled up. Whatever they found me, like passed out in the stairwell." I'm like, "Well, that's worst case scenario." So I I started, like, microdosing it just to, like, see, like, "Oh, maybe this'll help, maybe this'll help." And I remember taking it one day and being in the driveway and with my dad and just, like, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, like, just, like, you get the itchiness, that closed
Yeah,
neck
yeah.
thing and whatever, and it's just I think if you maybe have too much of it, your body's just like, "Nope," and each reaction is more severe than the one before that.
Jeez.
And so, like, that's what Jen had to get rid of the bees because 'cause they're like, "Yeah, if you have another reaction, you might just, like, code there, or like full anaphylaxis, like airway shuts down, whatever else. And apparently it's a thing too in like Europe, like 20-year beekeepers will get stung. And she's been stung tons before, like, and nothing has happened. But apparently a similar thing can happen if you've done it for 20 years or 50 years, like eventually your body just has enough and says, like, nope, we're done. And
So
so
those
it's just
long-term beekeepers, like, are they just really paranoid? Like, they just make sure they're always covered? Like,
I
how do
don't know.
they,
But that's the
you know?
thing too, is they're not. Like you see these psychopaths out there with no
Mhm.
gloves on and like sometimes just the hood on. They're reaching in there, they're getting stung, and they don't give a shit at all. It's
Oh,
I don't know. I it's just like a body's reaction to it, which is so strange.
I've heard of people developing, sensitivities to eggs. It's just eating
Oh, yeah.
I think you kinda got a bit sensitive to eggs at one point, I wanna
I
say.
was, yeah, we have a guy at work, like Jake, he has that allergy. Like you get the bodybuilders, I think, too, will have crush a ton of eggs and eventually they develop that intolerance to it, right? Maybe it's a similar kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's super weird. Yeah, I was looking actually, I was, reading an article the other day on, the peanut sort of epidemic and what ended up happening, right? Because some people
Yeah.
had reactions to peanuts, and so they started really creating this sort of environment where they were scaring parents, enough so that they were not exposing their kids to peanuts at a young age, and
Mm,
even, like, people were recommending, like, "Don't give peanuts to your kids when they're young," and then all of a sudden, they started taking them out of some schools, and you can't have them on an airplane, all these different things, right?
yeah,
And what they found is that from a population level, people's allergies to peanuts have gone through the roof on a population level, right? And they're really thinking
yeah,
it's actually due to the lack of exposure at a young age. So we've made this peanut epidemic,
yeah.
quite bad, and that right. So it's
Dude,
weird.
I remember going to this call. Funniest thing ever. We go to this call for this it's a scary off the start, but it's like an infant or I don't know, 8-month-old or something, and they're like, "Oh, it's allergy to peanuts," and this kid's just like, "Oh shit!" Like kids. So for reference, kids call peds calls are the worst calls to go on because they're like terrifying. You can't communicate with kids. Like you don't know what's going on. It's just not a fun experience. But anyways, so our buttholes are clenched on the way to this call. We get there, and this kid's just like drooling but happy. And the mom the paramedics were with us, thank God, and he's just like, "Yeah, no, they seem fine, I just think they don't like peanut butter, ma'am." It was just like the kids just, like, spit out the peanut butter just because they didn't like it, but it had nothing to do with peanut but, like you're
That's
saying, everybody's so
hilarious.
terrified of it,
Yes,
it's like this peanut epidemic that it was, like, the immediate thought, and I get it because it's terrifying being a parent, but it was just so funny of just like, "Yeah, no, they just don't like peanut butter." It's
the
like,
kid just
"Okay."
hates peanuts.
Yeah, the kid's fine, like, absolutely fine.
Oh
Jesus.
man,
Yeah,
yeah.
ridiculous.
Parents freak out. Yeah.
Yeah. What, what does your fitness look like now?
Mm,
We've gone through a couple different programs. It's been a while since we've kinda talked through this.
yes,
So let's switch pages here a bit and then go to, yeah, what are you doing now for programming? Because you were doing Marcus
Marcus
Philly
Philly.
for a while,
Mhm.
then you did some RP strength stuff,
Yep.
and what are you doing now?
So, yeah, so I was on the Marcus Philly, did that for a long time, probably a couple of years, and then, switched over to RP strength, and I was using the RP hypertrophy app. And
Which I
kinda
have stolen and I now use. Thank you for paying for that
nice.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. I hope you're getting good use out of it because I sure
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think I did a cycle or 2 of it,
yeah,
and, yeah, I was just getting a bit bored, um,
yeah.
and maybe it was due to my lack of creativity or something,
Mm,
but, it's yeah, I found a fella, and I don't know if you remember CrossFit football. Does
I
that
do, yeah,
ring a bell,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
CrossFit football, kind of was a thing, I'd say back in kind of the early 2010s. This guy named John Welborn was an ex-NFL player, absolute beast of a human being. If anyone looks up
Yeah,
this
I
guy like
remember
John
him being
Welborn,
huge. That's the big thing I remember is, like,
massive,
the page and this guy's just
just
jacked on the front of it.
yoked.
Holy shit.
So I've been doing his stuff, and he's very much strength focused, um, and he sprinkles in kind of everything. I would say it's very general athleticism, but everything's kind of tailored towards being able to smash this out in your garage gym. I've
Yeah,
never once not been able to do the workout, and it's not there's no frills attached to his programming. It's just very classic, garage gym, put the time in, put the effort in, and, throw in some aerobic capacity here and there, some zone
mm,
2 work, and, uh, and then every cycle's quite different. There's the staples that you come back to, right? He does a ton of rowing, like standing dumbbell rows, um, but there's enough variety to keep it exciting and interesting, and I've actually been seeing probably the most strength and hypertrophy gains on his program, probably than I've ever seen in another program.
mm,
Um, and then on top of that, when I'm at the hall, I'll program 2 CrossFit WODs in our mornings,
yeah,
in our AM. So I'd say in a week, I'm doing his programming with a couple CrossFit workouts and some zone 2 sprinkled in.
nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's well balanced. I'm still doing the odd CrossFit WOD at CrossFit Calgary.
Yeah,
Once in a while I'm there, but yeah, it's good. I'd say that whenever you look at your fitness, like there's always things that are you sort of ebb and flowing, right? Like if your strength is really charging up here and your
yeah.
hypertrophy, there's things that will be on the back burner. Like I'd say if you were to, the CrossFit Open's coming up, and I'm probably going to end up signing up for that. And it's like
As
that's
you
probably
always
gonna
do.
it's
Yeah,
probably gonna suck. It's probably
yeah,
gonna suck this year. I
yeah,
I
it
haven't been
always
spending as
does.
much time on that part of my training.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's but you sent me a message the other day about doing a trail ultra.
Yeah, I saw that I wanted to do it a year or 2 ago, and Jen was actually gonna do it last year on a team, and it's interesting because I think it's 100K, wasn't it? Or is it 100 mile? I think it's a
I gotta
100
check.
mile.
100 mile, that's
But
sweet.
anyway, it's a big because I think you need if you're doing a team, you need 6 or 7, and each section's like 20K, I wanna
Yeah.
say. So probably around yeah, it'd probably be a 100 miler then. And it I like the idea of this because it's like you're not doing it by yourself, so you're not doing 100 like, that's stupid, in my opinion, do 100 miles by yourself, that's dumb. Like, don't do that. It's not good for your body. But for us, like, I don't know about you, but I feel like I could go out and do that right now. I'd probably hurt a lot after it,
Yeah.
like, to do 20K of a trail, but I think it'd be more entertaining than doing a marathon because 'cause you've done a couple marathons, right?
I've done a full and a half. Yeah.
And it's just like a grinding, like, misery, is it not?
The full is
Yeah.
a full marathon I'll never do again unless I actually train for it. But a half you can do kind of whenever. It's just
Yeah.
your time's not gonna be great, but your
No.
body's not broken for days
Yeah, and that's
like
the
it
thing
is
is,
on a
like,
full.
to be good and have a good time in it, the amount you would have to put in and, like, how you would have to change your training,
Yes.
what you would have to focus on, like, that's just why, like, for
Yeah.
us,
And really
that's
with running, it's just
ridiculous.
temporary.
Yeah,
You just yeah, but yeah, for the amount of time, you're right. Like it's just
yeah,
it's a lot of time out of your day hitting pavement.
yeah. And it's like, for me, it's a lot of wear on my joint. Like, I'm a heavier dude, and it's a lot of wear and tear on my knees and hips and whatever else, and it hurts. But the trail, I was like, well, at least it's more entertaining. Like, it's more up and down, so you're gonna be a walk. Like, you walk uphill and you kind of jog downhill, which I like the idea of that.
Mhm.
But there's some crazy ones, like the it's called the Sinister Seven, I think. So if you guys want to look that up, it's the nighttime runs are insane. There's one peak one where you're going from like, it's probably like a 12 to like 2, 3 a.m. run.
Mm,
And
mhm.
it's like crazy incline, crazy descent, and it's pitch dark out. Like it's in the middle of the night, obviously. And you're wearing a headlamp, whatever else, like you're out there and there's other people out there, but it's I don't know. I think it'd be a cool sense of like we talked about in nature, how you're with all the bears, like you're in their world. It's a similar thing where it's like you're not in this pavement, concrete environment of like controlled. It's you're out there. You're in this environment. Like you got to survive almost, and just keep pushing forward, keep chipping away. And I don't know. I've
Takes the
always wanted
monotony
to
out of it.
do trail. Yeah, I've always wanted to do trail, like a trail run. I think this is a cool way to do it with like a group.
You know, Derek, I'm gonna call complete bullshit on everything you just said. I really think this is just an excuse for you to buy some new shoes because now you
Yeah.
get to go buy
So, I have
some
been
sweet
looking at
trail
new
shoes.
shoes. Yeah, I definitely you need to buy shoes, and I love shoes, so this is part of that, Josh,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
The
Yeah,
equipment that comes
I
with it.
see it. I see it. I feel it. I like shoes
You've
too.
you've
I'm
got
excited.
you've got yeah, yeah, so we'll have to figure that out. That week is Jack's birthday, so I wanted to, like, go down to Montana after and chill down there because it's right by the border anyways, so
Unreal. Yeah, that's sweet. No,
yeah,
I'm in. That sounds like a ton of fun.
yeah.
But we
It's
gotta find out other teammates.
yeah. I've got
Yeah,
we got Woody from work. Well, he wanted to
yeah.
do one at 1.2, but he's gotten real thick. Don't ever give coworkers the advice that dirty bulk is, yeah, you can kind of manage it because then they just like, oh yeah, s- Derek told me to dirty bulk, so now I've
No,
gained 20 pounds by eating
no.
milkshakes and whatever. I'm like, yeah, but you also missed the other stuff I said of like eat high protein, like try to keep
Yeah,
it a little clean and whatever else. No,
yeah.
all Woody heard was so I think this would
Dirty
be good
bulk.
for him. Hopefully he'd lose some weight running
Yeah,
because he
yeah.
needs
Oh, yeah.
to.
Yeah,
So we I got him on the mind, and I think there's some other people that we can probably convince as well.
oh,
Yeah,
Wes would jump in there too.
yeah,
I'm
I
sure he
know.
would.
You gotta find
Yeah,
people that are off that day.
yeah, yeah.
It's I've been doing
RP.
your RP strength stuff, and I love it. It's like I don't know why. I have the original templates from RP strength, and
Mhm.
if you guys have never done it, it's super structured, like plug and play, pick your exercises, very like push pull day, upper body day, whatever. Like however you want to set it up, they have a bunch of customization in there, and I love it. So I really enjoying that because
That's awesome.
I think I did CrossFit football, like, way back when for, like,
Mhm.
a month. As you know, I like to program hop, so I
Yeah.
was like, this isn't for me," and hopped around and did whatever. So,
This might be the longest you've actually stuck on a program
yeah,
in a while.
yeah, I've done 2 did I do 2 complete ones? I've done 2 complete RP strength ones, so that's, like, a couple months at least, which is nice.
Now you were running into a problem because you really like to structure your programming in 8-day cycles, but everything
I
runs
do.
on 7-day cycles because they look at a 7-day week. They don't cater to us
I know.
firefighters that run an 8-day cycle. How have you worked around that?
It's I've had to kind of figure out what day. So at work, I do 2 of the days at home, so I've done, like, a heavy squat day at home in the middle,
Mhm.
so in my 4 days off, like, in the middle, I'll do heavy squat day the one day, and then the other is upper body day, like, today or tomorrow should be an upper body day of, like, bench
It's
press,
kinda day
basically.
2 and 3 of your days
Day
off.
3, yeah. So it's, like, my 2 and 3 days off are my 1 and 2 of my program, and then first day at work, I'll do one of the days, and second day at work, I'll do the other day, and so that's 4 out of 4 days 4 out of 8 days, that's something strength related, and then the other 2, I try to do, like, been sick here, but cardio or even yoga. I've gotten into
Mhm.
like, some flow yoga, you know, yoga with Ardeen, the goat on
No.
YouTube? She's like
No,
the goat.
no. She's
Yeah,
the goat?
she's awesome, yeah. Uh, she's been doing yoga on YouTube for so long, and she has these like 30-day flow, 30-day whatever for like the new year. And so I've been chipping away at that, and I've been really enjoying that as well. I'm a yogi now. I don't know if you can tell.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Stretching is good for you, and your body
Yeah.
looks like a yogi. Like, when I
Yeah.
look at you, I should think
Gorilla yogi.
flexibility and
That's
and,
what comes to mind.
serenity.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Serenity. Jesus. I did buy the only thing I love RP, the app. I hate RP, the diet app. Did I tell you I bought that?
No. Tell me
So I
about it.
bought the diet app, and I'm used to MyFitnessPal, and I think the Chronometer was another one I was using, and they're really good. They give you a lot of flexibility. You plug in your macros, whatever. It's like, I need this much protein, this much carbs, blah, blah, blah. RP Strength is like dedicated to bodybuilders almost,
Mm,
is what I found.
mm,
Because you structure it out. It's like, hey, when's your rest? When can you eat? When do you want your meals? And it's like very planned and structured. And it's like each meal has to have exactly these things. And it's very hard to like move it around and be flexible with it. If you wanted something that like kept you super accountable, this is it. And like you want that exact structure. But for us, like at work and just like in my life, I like to kind of be up and down, have cheat days and whatever else. It was very hard to find that with the RP diet app I found.
yeah,
I'll let you play with it the one of
cool.
these days. It's yeah,
It's
it
hard in
was tough.
general at the fire hall when it's, like, all of a sudden for lunch, you're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we're having, like, grilled cheese sandwiches." You're like, "Well, I guess I can have a protein shake with that, get some"
I
you
know,
know?
right? And you're like, "Okay, no chicken or anything? Like, give me something here." It's
Yeah,
tough,
yeah.
man. It's tough. And I lost, like, 10 pounds at around Christmas time because I got sick. Every couple of years, I, like, go on these sweet weight loss journeys, but it's just me, like, licking a doorknob and getting really sick. And so I lost, like, 10 pounds, and I was like,
Oh, man.
"Oh, I'm 230." I was under, like, 236, which is, like,
Oh,
crazy. It's like, "Yeah, I'm feeling it, blah, blah," like, was eating, like, 1,200 calories a day just because I was not feeling good. And then it's just like, it's back on. We're
yeah,
back where we were, baby. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you're
Yeah,
back up
it's
to,
been
like,
fun.
240 probably, 245?
245. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hitting up there.
yeah.
Did you do speaking of the new year, did you do any resolutions or anything? Do you have any goals, any stuff like that?
No.
No?
You
Are you a
know,
resolution guy?
well, I have been in the past in terms of fitness, and
Yeah.
I've never once I've
Stuck
always
to it?
had too they've been too lofty, and then,
Yeah.
so right, this is kind of the first year where I'm just like, if I can achieve this year, my last year's resolution goals, that would be sweet. But
Just oh, that's
I have
funny.
strength numbers, man. Like
Do you?
I'd love to hit, 275 bench,
Yeah.
a 400-pound back squat would be awesome. But
Yeah.
realistically, even if I can get up into like the, 370, something like that. And then if I could hit close to 500 pounds on the dead, those would be some pretty sweet numbers. But it's, I'm putting my faith in this programming and the consistency,
Yeah.
and we'll see if I can hit those numbers.
Nice.
But I
Yeah.
didn't write them on paper. How about you?
I have like fitness related, and then I have some other ones. The one that then I'm close to hitting it because I've been doing the 20 rep back squat stuff, which
Mhm.
has been
Yeah,
super
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
I've really been enjoying that. So like on my squat day, instead of doing 2 sets or 3 sets or whatever, I'll do like 20 reps at whatever weight, and every week I just increase by 10 pounds. I was doing 5 pounds at first, but that was gonna take forever because I started at like
Yeah.
165, which is super light and just like it's going so slow. So I just did 235 yesterday. And apparently, 'cause I posted a video on YouTube, and that one guy's like, "You need to have someone count out for you for motivation." Like, "Sure, bud." So next time, I guess I'm calling you, FaceTiming you, and you can yell at me
I
for
will yell at
motivation
you. Yes.
because it's gonna be 245, and that was like my goal last year. And just the way my cycle kind of worked out, I didn't finish at 245, but next week, I'm gonna go for 245 pounds for 20 reps. And so that was a goal that I kind of set last year of like, that'd be cool to get body weight at 20 reps,
Yeah.
which is I think it's super achievable. Like I was struggling at the end of 235, but I think that's attainable at 245. And it's crazy to me to see someone like Josh Bridges doing 30 reps at whatever like Was he doing 295
3
pounds or 3 something now?
yeah, like, just psycho, dude.
That's
Yeah.
insanity.
Yeah,
I
it's
like,
insanity. The guy's tiny. Yeah.
I get so out of breath by the end of it, I'm dying. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I have a jar of Skittles out in my garage just so I can
Mhm,
pop Skittles, like, afterwards, so my, like, get some of that
mhm.
glucose back in there, in the
My
system
last,
working
like,
again.
insane leg day, like, it was a few weeks back, and I drank a full strength Coke. I
Nice.
had that with like, as I was squatting, I was, like, drinking Coke. So, I'm like,
Dude,
I'm dying.
I saw this hat. I don't know why I showed up because 'cause I'm not a runner, but apparently now I am. It was like an endurance hack of, you know how, like, those expensive gels and gummies and stuff like that, you'll pay $5 for this little bag of gummies that's like they're glucose and whatever and all this stuff. Nerd clusters, those little, like,
Uh,
ones with the jelly things are, like,
whoa,
basically identical, and they cost, like, 5 cents a gummy. So,
dang.
if you're looking for a good workout hack, like,
Get
whatever,
some nerds.
nerd clusters.
Nerd clusters.
Nerd
Where do you buy
clusters, yeah,
nerd clusters?
they're
Gas
really
station.
good too. Yeah, and
Gas
they're like
station nerd
gummies, and they're
clusters.
so
Yeah, yeah. Let's
I
go.
love them, man.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
it and, like, so that was my one strength, one was that, and then there's some other ones of, like, just setting up my day in a way that I enjoy,
Mhm.
and I've been really kinda sticking to that. So, it's like read for 10 minutes a day,
Nice.
journal every day, which I have not done. It's been I just, like, I find it tough to journal. I like journaling when something's going on to get it off your mind, and
Yeah.
that's it. Like, maybe
Mhm,
every other week or whatever when something pisses me off.
mhm,
Drinking, there was a big thing. I don't know if you saw that cancer thing that came out of, like, the linking of, like, alcohol to cancer rates and
mhm,
whatever else. So, I thought it'd be responsible and try to, like, lower that because we are in, like,
mhm,
a high in the environment of being a firefighter, you're exposed to more carcinogens, whatever, and higher
mhm,
rates of cancer. So, I thought, why not try to lower that? So, it's like 2 drinks a max in a day, but, like, 4 per month. So, like, I can go out, I can still have fun, but, like, I'm capped at 2. So you're not getting drunk, like, you're just getting a
mhm,
little mini buzz on, whatever, or you go
mhm,
golfing, you wanna have 2 drinks, fine.
mhm.
But you're capped at, like, that day at 2, and then at the month, you have 4 max, which I thought is
Mhm.
super reasonable and
Yeah,
attainable.
so one night, if you wanna go out with some buddies and actually have 4 beers, something like that, you
Yeah,
can do that.
you
Yeah,
can kinda
yeah,
go off, but it's like that's what you get for the month. Like, you gotta pick and choose wisely, and that,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think, has helped me because through Christmas, I don't know about you, but I was, like, crushing beers, and we did a beer
yeah,
exchange at work, so
yeah, yeah,
hammering
nice.
through that. Yeah. And then it's like the other one another one was exercise or move every day. So even if I'm not like exercising, it's got to be like go for a walk, take the dog for a walk, do yoga or do something like for at least 20 minutes that moves your body. Cause
Mhm.
there's nothing worse than just sitting on the couch all day and being like, what just happened to my day? And feeling kind of like
Yeah,
garbage, right?
yeah.
You have shitty sleep because you didn't move and it's just compounds, right?
How's your social media? Like, you've always been a guy that sort of every once in a while, you, like, check yourself. You're like, "I'm just gonna delete all my social
Dude,
media," or, like, take this off. Where you at with that?
I had to delete Instagram for I've had to delete it for like 4-ish, 4 or 5 months, and I brought it back a couple weeks ago. I downloaded it,
Mhm.
and I had to delete it again the other day because I was just like, it's just consuming. You get
Yeah.
stuck on it, and you're bored, and you're scrolling through and scrolling through. What I found instead is having Instagram on a browser, so on my
Mhm,
phone, and putting a time limit on it, like how
mhm,
you can do the screen record. It still works if it's on a browser. So it's more clunky to use on a browser. It kinda sucks and it's frustrating, but you can still see the messages and you can still see
mhm,
some content. So it's like,
mhm,
it's not so time consuming and easy to use. There's like that barrier to resistance, which I've
mhm,
really liked. Like
mhm.
I struggle with that. Whereas someone like you can not read text messages for like a month on end and you're fine.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
You're just in it.
Yeah, like yeah, and so it's like I've had to that one was like a big one of like being conscious of that and removing that piece out of it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. What time do you get up in the morning every day? Are you consistent with your,
Uh,
wake times?
7 during the week, like, when I'm not working, and 6:15 during work.
Yeah,
Like,
so
I
you
have to
getting
go to
up.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. What
yeah.
about you?
Well,
Is yours the same?
depends if I, go gym in the morning,
Okay.
or it depends if my wife's working 'cause, if she's up, she makes sure I'm up. So
I'm up, you're up.
when I'm up,
Yeah,
you're up.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you hear that.
God.
clunking
Yeah.
around, lights, this, that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like, "Oh,
man.
yeah,
Yes,
my
I'm gonna
my
wake
my
up
sleep
now.
is over."
Yes, I guess I can make you cat coffee now.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So,
That's been,
depends
that
day to
was
day.
another one on here too, is, like, intentional caffeine use,
Mm,
which I said that to Becky at work, and she's like, "You're such a diva." I'm like, "Well, I'm a diva then." But,
yeah. Mhm.
for me, it's, like, not crushing multiple cups of coffee throughout the day. It's, like, having good caffeine, like, a couple in the morning and then maybe some tea or whatever at the afternoon, because going back to the addictions thing of, like, just
Yeah.
crushing a Monster every
The white
day,
monster. Yeah, yeah,
oh, there's nothing
yeah.
better.
Yeah, well,
It
you
just
I mean, that crew,
oh,
man, like,
so
you and, Stoosh are just, like, fiends for the
it's
white monsters.
so good, and it's just, like, it just goes right into the soul, and I
So,
love
okay,
it
let me
so
ask
much.
you about nicotine. Has your crew got you on the nicotine?
No,
Have you
they've
stayed strong?
tried. They've tried, man. I'm like, that's a wormhole I cannot go down, because I will just,
Yeah,
like, indulge. They
yeah,
got me gambling online for a bit. I was
yeah.
doing,
The
sports
sports
betting,
betting.
and it was
Yeah,
fun, but I was, like, in it, like, kinda like
yeah,
crypto or whatever else, like, I was in it, like, I'm doing it
yeah,
every
yeah.
day, putting the 2, and I was just doing, like, $2 bets, but I was doing, like, 10 $2 bets. I was betting on, cricket games in South Australia.
Okay,
Yeah,
you know that
and I
they've got
won,
you when you're betting
and
on
I won,
cricket
yeah.
games in a country that you don't even know
Dude,
any
it was
players, like
and I was doing these crazy parlays and whatever, and I was, like, even for a while there, and then I understand now why it's so easy to lose so much money, because I was putting small numbers down. People put big numbers down, like, you'd be like, "Oh, this is a sure bet," and guys are like, "Oh, this is a sure bet," and you lose, of course,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and then I put $50 on Tyson to win against Jake Paul, and I
Oh,
lost.
oh, yeah. That was a
Yeah,
bad bet.
but I think it was an emotional bet. It was like not
Yeah.
wanting to
You know
accept the
what? I think
future.
you can morally feel good about that bet, though. Like,
Yeah.
he everyone wanted him to win,
Oh, yeah, like, there no part
right?
of me wanted Jake Paul, and, like, I get it, he's younger and Tyson's old, and, like, sure, maybe there's some stuff going on in the background, who knows actually what the truth is, but
Yeah. Some shady shit for sure.
I didn't want him to lose,
Yeah, yeah, I
so I
agree.
put my money where my mouth is, and I
I like
lost.
it. I support that. I
Yeah.
feel like, sports betting and nicotine pouches has a strong hold on the nation's fire departments.
Dude,
They
it's
found their
like
market.
yeah, they found their niche for sure. How's yours going? Are you
Yeah,
fighting the
I got a little whiplash going right now.
Jesus Christ.
you know,
Yeah,
I think vices are good too,
yeah,
but you gotta manage the vices. You know,
yeah,
you can't let them run you.
yeah. I
You gotta run them.
intentional usage, right? Intentionally
Yes,
if you're just throwing upper lippers every day, and, like, there's people that are throwing, like, 3 in at a time,
that's
and
obscene. That's crazy.
dude, yeah,
Yeah,
like, why? That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. No, it's yeah, that you gotta manage that. Yeah, yeah. I remember one morning I got to the hall and Joel was sitting next to me and he's like, "Hey man, do you want to try this over here?" And I'm like, "What is that?" Like, I'm used to like the baby 3 milligrams, right? He's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, it's a 6." I'm like, "I don't." He's like, "No, no, trust me, it's fine." Like, okay, fine. Popped it.
trust me, it's fun.
Dude, like 5 minutes later, I'm like,
It's
"Whoa, man, get this out of me, man."
just flying
Can't
high.
even
Oh
see straight
god.
right now. Like, holy shit.
'Cause I remember we
Yeah,
had this conversation about, like, what's healthier, energy drinks or nicotine? Which, for reference, I think both are not healthy, but used in, like, moderation, that
yeah,
whatever, you can get away with stuff. But I think that's why I had to cut out energy drinks for basically.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's just like, that unhealthy addiction that I have to things.
yeah, yeah.
That's why I couldn't
We're
get started on the
yeah.
nicotine, man. It's like, oh no, that's a
We're
wormhole
cut
though.
from the same cloth, man.
Yeah,
We like things too much and we like to just go, but that's why you have to always hold yourself accountable, find relatively healthy things, and then kind of
yeah.
know when you're going a bit too far. Like it's very easy to let something like nicotine or caffeine or social media or any of these vices
Oh yeah,
encroach on your life a bit too much. And I think that we all know intuitively when we're crossing that line. We know. If you ask yourself honestly, you know what things are not are holding you back from living your optimal self. but you
Yeah.
have to have the honest conversations with yourself and those check-ins to then recenter yourself and
Yeah.
kind of keep yourself on that right path.
It's like me and video games too right now, man. I need to cut back on video games. So, yeah, I find one but it's so hard over the winter time, like, just you get sucked into stuff. You go
Yeah,
into hibernation mode, but it is what it is.
you're gaming on the PC, I think, right?
Yeah, PC
Yeah,
Master Race.
PC Master Race.
Yeah, let's go. When the new Switches come out, we can play Mario Kart together, don't you worry.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
I'll
you
be with the
worry.
kids, you know, like, I view
Nice.
myself these days as a casual gamer. It's,
That's
the
good.
Switch is
That's good.
probably the perfect thing for
Yeah,
me.
that is.
The casual gamer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that brings us near the end here. We're at the hour mark.
Yeah, awesome.
So we're also dealing with some technical difficulties on iTunes right now. So you'll notice the show name switch from Perfect Specimen to we're gonna go with Perfect Specimen Show. Is that what we've decided on?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think show is
So
a
you'll
good name.
see Perfect Specimen Show on iTunes now. We'll switch our Spotify to that as well. We'll keep the YouTube as Perfect Specimen because that's who we are at the core of what we are is Perfect Specimen. And yeah, it's I hate iTunes. We can
Yeah.
leave that story for another day, but
Yeah, it's
yeah,
brutal. Brutal what happened there. We'll touch on that some other point, but it's,
yeah,
brutal. Yeah.
yeah. Episode 4 in the books. We have returned. We're gonna be bi-weekly. Or is that the right term?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Bi
biweekly. Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna try to get more content for you guys. We're doing this remotely now, so you won't see some video for a bit till you get that figured out. We'll just be audio, but yeah, thanks for listening. You're the best. Love you, Josh.
Love you too, buddy. Good chatting with you.